The NDIS is great. It took us a while to get there, but once we got on it, it was amazing. We had to set goals for our son and we had no idea what those goals were. So we actually used our therapist, our social worker, who took us through what were the top 5 things we wanted to work on. So keeping it really small but broad. So making sure that we're really capturing for that year what we wanted to achieve for Hugo, so he could progress to the preschool setting. The year after that was what were the goals, the life skills that he needed to be able to start school. And we really focused in on just 5 goals each year to really get him to where he needed to be. Some of those broader goals are around, we wanted Hugo to have friends. And so it can be really high level, but when you get down into the detail about how he was going to do some social play, social skills, that's when you can get into the detail of how you're actually going to achieve that broad goal.
To try and think big picture about what kind of life you want. So I'd start there. Then I'd come down and go, okay, so from where we are here at this very moment in time, how could I get a teeny tiny little step closer towards that big picture? So I like to think of it as like a ladder, so if the big picture goal is up here, this is the kind of life I want for my son. Like I want my son to be as independent and happy as possible. What can I do today from where he is? How can he be, 1% more independent, or 1%, how can I increase his well-being? 1%, what is the little goal here I need to achieve to get closer? And then I think with your NDIS goals, they're not the little steps and they're not the big picture. They're kind of in between there. And so I think, you want them broad enough so that you can change your little goals throughout your 12-month plan or whatever it is, so that you've got some, variety. Like you might think one thing is going to be the thing and then you try it out and it's not the thing. So you want to have some flexibility so you can change it. I'd like him to be able to, pack his school bag by the end of the year. That's the real, thing that I can see in my head. But then when you write it for your NDIS goals, you might want to make it a bit broader so that you can, try out a few different ways of being independent.
Finding the right mindset in order to organise goals was the hard part, like trying to break down the issues that you're having, whether it be getting the kid ready for school or ready for kinder in the morning, and then breaking down what parts of that process was the actual issue. Where is it all falling apart, and then working on that problem. So once you're able to break down what the troubles are that you're having into exactly what it is, whether it be the problem's actually putting shoes on. And so if you're asking them to put shoes on at the start of the whole process, the rest of the process is ruined. And then going to talk to someone who specialises in that sort of behaviours and then finding a better way of going about the process. As one goal is achieved, you've got to keep resetting new ones. And then also there's longer term goals of, getting your child more socially aware and able to interact with their environment better. And that's a long-term process where you've got to gradually add more and more complexity to it. And you start with the simplest parts of it and build up.
So assuming you've contacted the NDIS or gone on the website to find out, am I eligible? Is my child eligible? And the answer seems to be yes. Then you can contact them and arrange what's called a planning meeting. And you'll meet with somebody who may be a planner or a local area coordinator. There's various people that can do these planning meetings. And they'll ask you a series of questions about your child and about their level of functioning and development, and try to ascertain what their needs, what their goals might be with you, and then what might be able to be funded toward those goals. So sometime after that meeting, you'll get a plan. It may be emailed to you or mailed to you or both, and the plan will have what the goals are that you agreed upon in the meeting and what money is attached to each of those goals.
You'll have to prepare for that planning meeting. And so some of the things that I would suggest that you do is firstly, check out the participant booklets on the NDIS website. Participant booklet 2 specifically will walk you through some of the questions that you need to ask yourself in preparation for that meeting. It's important to know that goals are really important in the NDIS, but they're not goals as we typically know it. So in a normal environment, the best goals are what we would call SMART goals. They're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, they're timely, etc. Not so in an NDIS world. In an NDIS world, the best goals are really broad life goals. You are going to have to establish some goals for your funding because the NDIS will only fund supports that are aligned with the goal. So think broad. What's some of the broad areas of life that you would like to focus on for your child? It might be integrating better with school. It might be making friends and spending time with them on the weekends. It might be learning to regulate my emotions so I can get along with my siblings. But big, broad goals that can justify all kinds of funding. Once you get the plan, you have up to 3 months to ask for a review of the plan. So one of the things that you need to do very early on when you get that new plan is sit down and determine if it adequately meets the needs and preferences of your child and your family. And if you don't agree with what's been included in the plan, then you have the right to request what's called a review of that plan.